Well, it appears we have another black controversy in the game industry once again, and me being a black gamer here on YouTube, I guess I'm just predisposed to have to talk about it. Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, D3 Topics Gamer here to share a few of my thoughts on this entire Assassin's Creed Shadows Black Samurai controversy that seems to be blowing up the internet right now. And heck, I'm just gonna give my good sense to just tell you what I think and where I stand on this entire situation. Now, if you happen to kind of like these little discussion videos and you like to see more of it, make sure you share your thoughts, or heck, if you have an idea for a future video, also share those ideas with me in the comments down below, and heck, if I happen to pick it up and get it online, I'll be sure to give you a major shout out. So, by the time of this video's uploading, a number of days ago, they released the trailer for the next Assassin's Creed game titled Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is a game that is set in feudal Japan, which I think many fans of the Assassin's Creed franchise have been asking for no less than 10 years. Since, in my personal experience, I've always felt that an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan made more sense than in any other era in history. I mean, even more sense than some of the earliest Assassin's Creed games. So now that we're finally getting to go in feudal Japan, I was really excited for it. And heck, I was even more intrigued when they revealed that one of the characters was in fact going to be based off of the somewhat historical mythic character of like the black character, you know, by the name of Sasuke. I believe that's Sasuke. I think that's how you say his name. I mean, I'd heard a little bit about him, but I didn't really know too much about like how he was really represented or how the general community felt about him. But I was generally intrigued, and heck, even after all this controversy, yeah, I'll state I'm actually still interested in wanting to play this game, because at the end of the day, all I want from an Assassin's Creed game is for it to just be a good game. The last really good Assassin's Creed game that I actually really enjoyed was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and apparently everybody on the planet hated that game but me. So heck, I think I'm in the minority that I can say, heck, it's nice to know that Ubisoft made an Assassin's Creed game made just for me, because I'm not gonna lie, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is probably my favorite kind of Greek mythology-like game outside of the God of War franchise. So heck, if everybody else hates this game but me, heck, I'm happy to know that this game was made exactly just for me, and heck, I'll take that title. And I always felt that the closest thing we would ever get to something like a Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan was Ghost of Tsushima, which was an incredible game, and I easily consider this to be the last great game that came out during the prior period of PlayStation. So, with all this controversy, the crazy part is that I kind of see everyone's both sides of this argument. You have this side that says, oh, Ubisoft is only making this decision because they're all woke, and if you happen to be interested in this game, then you're being unknowingly programmed to accept woke culture. And then you have this side who just wants to play the game or give it a chance. And heck, and just kind of thinks that all this controversy is just kind of silly. Like, you're basing this off of a single trailer. Like, let's see some gameplay. And apparently there actually have been released some screenshots of how the gameplay is going to work out. And from what I've seen of it, primarily, the male character is not even really an assassin. He's kind of a direct combatant. And the female protagonist, which, let's just get that out of the bag. Apparently, everyone is forgetting that there's a second protagonist. You're going to be able to play as two characters, and this isn't a new concept. There have been several Assassin's Creed games that have you play as two protagonists. So the fact that everyone is just losing their minds, the fact that there are two protagonists, it's just crazy. And it appears that for the female protagonist, she's doing more of the stealth stuff, more of the assassin stuff. And I actually like that kind of balance. I mean, it would be pretty much the equivalent of what they did in Ghost of Tsushima, but just cut into two different people, because you have to do some assassination missions and then you have to do some direct combat missions. So just split it across two different protagonist characters and then have them work together. And I'm sure there's some type of system of whether or not they'll be active at the same time, or if you'll be able to switch, or there's certain missions where you have to play as one character or the other. Like, there's a lot of things we don't know. And so the fact that everyone is just losing their minds is just kind of, I find it a little bit silly. Then you have this other crazy side saying that because I'm actually interested in this game and I'm curious about it, then apparently I am woke. So I don't even know what that really means anymore because I know damn right I'm not woke. I mean, I'm the same person who openly said that I just could not finish Spider-Man 2 because I could see the direction that they were going with the story, and I wasn't supporting it. I didn't like the fact that they were pushing Peter away and trying to force Miles on me because, heck, I'm not a fan of Miles Morales. I'm the same person who's been screaming for the past 3 years that I'm sick and tired of them taking gingers and redheads and recasting them as black people. I don't like that concept at all, so I know damn well I ain't part of this whole crazy woke culture, but apparently it's all over the place. It's really all over the place. And then there's some people who think that there's some sort of conspiracy going wrong, that Ubisoft did this on purpose in order to get people to talk about the game. It's like, oh, well, we know that the Assassin's Creed fan base has wanted a game in feudal Japan, so why don't we give them that? But let's add this one character who may or may not have actually existed just to add some controversy, because heck, controversy brings attention, whether it's positive or negative, and then the more people talk about it, the more people will be blinded by the fact that we're trying to sell this game for $130, which I think is something we can all agree we should be focusing on, because I damn sure ain't gonna pay $130 for this game. I'm gonna do what I've always done when it comes to these type of new games, and let's just say it's a pretty old style of how I get a lot of my newer games, but we won't talk about that. But I have my ways of getting newer games and playing them and then getting them at a really, really good price. So trust me, no one's really talking about the price because that is ridiculous. Like I think even the updated version above the regular version, I think is a bit overpriced, and no one's talking about that. They're all focusing on the Yasuke character and seeing how they think it's like offensive, and then there's like a bunch of people saying that the Japanese are upset about this because they don't want a black man representing them, and they'd be like throwing some crazy examples of, well, how would you feel if a Chinese man was put in an Assassin's Creed game set in Africa? I mean, wouldn't that be kind of culturally offensive because you wouldn't normally find a Chinese man in Africa? And I'd be like, well, it depends on the period of time you're talking about, but it's just kind of all over the place. And I just find it just kind of silly. It's just ridiculous, and it's just crazy. And I've seen like so many crazy like responses. Like I've screenshot like a lot of crazy comments. Like here's one that I found online. Just reading it. Okay, let's say that this Sasuke guy was a real samurai then. Let's go with that argument. Why then would you choose the only outliner in the entire history of Japanese history and make a conscious decision to pick a non-native Japanese man over either a made-up Japanese man or any other real historical samurai? They didn't see him. They think he would make a good character. No, they saw a black man and put him solely because he's black, which one could argue is actually racist. So apparently, if I like the idea of them having a black samurai in a game set in feudal Japan, I'm apparently racist. So this is the IGN situation all over again with Resident Evil 5. Oh, this is great. This is rich. Never mind the fact that it looks absolutely ridiculous to have a single black person in the middle of an ethnically homogeneous society. A man who can easily stand out in the crowd. I don't think he's trying to be an assassin. He's not trying to be sneaky, so he's a samurai. I don't think... Of course he would stand up. That's the point. Do we ignore our eyes and see him very clearly out of place? Why is no one treating him differently? Are there characters in this game blind? Do they not see someone who is very clearly different? Are they not at least curious about where he came from? I'm sure they will talk to him like he's just one of them. I'm sure no one will question the single black man in the culture of pale-skinned people. I mean, this is just nuts. And here's another one that I found. What a dishonest way to frame this. The criticism is that this game takes place in Japan, therefore the game's protagonist should be from the area, aka Japanese. Also, no other Assassin's Creed game had you play as an actual historical figure. You know what? That is a little point that I never quite thought about, because as far as I can tell, we never actually played as a historical figure, but we interacted with historical figures. The problem is that we don't even know if this Yasuke character was ever real. Like, there are very few sources about him, and they're kind of all over the place. There's some sources that say he was a slave. There's some sources that say he was only in Japan for 3 years. There's some sources that say he was a samurai. There's some sources that say he was never actually a samurai. He was like a sword bearer. There are some sources that say he was an exotic dancer. There are some sources who say he was a farmer. Like, there's so little about this character. He seems more like folklore. Like, we're not exactly sure if he existed, but like the few sources that we have can't even make up their mind. So as far as we're concerned, you can't even say he's a historical figure because we're not even sure if this guy was real. I mean, that's the crazy part. Like, if we were basing this off of someone that we have definitive proof actually exists, that would be one thing, but we don't really know. And that's what I'm really not that upset about this whole thing. Now, I can understand people being more upset, again, if he was like the only protagonist character, playing as a black person alone in a Japanese game. I could understand a little bit more. But again, there are two protagonists here, so like, seriously, and we're like completely forgetting that. It was done, let's see, if this was done anywhere else, it would just be weird. Just imagine an Assassin's Creed game. Yeah, this is the example I was talking about an Assassin's Creed game saying Africa with an Asian protagonist. No one is doubting that this person exists if it just looks weird when you have so much rich Asian culture to pull from and you make the protagonist not Asian. Like, at the end of the day, like, when it comes to Assassin's Creed games, I don't play them to learn about history. I don't play them to be historically accurate because none of these games are historically accurate. You didn't have some Assassin's Creed guy curb stomping the Pope. You didn't have some Native American charge the British Army by himself and single-handedly give George Washington one of his most significant victories in the American Revolution. You didn't have, like, seriously, you didn't have a group of assassins secretly engineer the march on the Bastille during the French Revolution. You didn't, like, the fact that people are taking it so seriously, and just at the end of the day, I just want a good game with a reasonable story. Now, and we're 6 months out. Like, they just announced this in May. This game comes out in November. We are still 6 months away from this game coming out. Could we please wait until the game comes out? And then if it's like a shitty story, then trust me, I will be the first one to start bashing the hell out of this game. But look, I'm not going to lose my mind over such a thing that it has very little meaning to me. But then maybe there's other people that are like over the moon about this, or maybe some Asian gamers that are offended. And I do apologize, but I'm at this point, maybe it's just me just wanting to be, I'm so desperate for a good game because up until this announcement, my gaming season had ended with Stellar Blade. Like, once I was done with Stellar Blade, I really had nothing left to play for the rest of the year. So the fact that this game popped up out of nowhere, because I didn't know when we were going to get the next Assassin's Creed, I generally didn't know. I'm just excited and hoping that it's just a good game. I want to play more games for the rest of the year. So heck, I'm willing to give this game a chance. I'm not willing to judge something based off of a trailer. I need to see a little bit more before I make a definitive stance on where I stand. But as I stand right now, I'm not losing my head over this. I don't feel offense. I'm not offended by it. But then, heck, you're not Japanese, so of course you wouldn't be offended by it. But I'm like, I just want to play. Just let me play the game. Let's wait till it comes out. But then me just saying that, probably some people think, oh, you're just woke, or you're secretly programmed to accept wokeness. And I'm just like, just shut up. Just shut up. I've dealt with enough bullshit this year so far. I don't need you to add any more to it. And it's just silly. It's just silly. I'm an Assassin's Creed fan. I'm a fan of Japanese culture. And trust me, there have been a couple of like examples of entertainment where they've actually had a non-Japanese person right in the middle of a Japanese story, and no one seemed to lose their head. I just got done watching Shogun. No one's going nuts about that. I mean, heck, here's even another better example of something that really means a lot to me. Remember a movie that came out back in 2003 called The Last Samurai, starring Tom Cruise? Why aren't we calling for Tom Cruise's head 21 years later? Oh dear God, that makes me feel old. I mean, like stuff like that. Like, I actually think that movie was responsible for my interest in Japanese culture. I don't really remember being all that interested in it before I saw that film, but like, yeah, kind of crazy. And heck, he was front and center. Like, so, I mean, was there any controversy around that movie when it came out? Or why isn't there any more controversy about it now? I don't know, because I'll say this. That is my favorite Tom Cruise movie of all time. Like, hands down. But going back to Assassin's Creed Shadows, I just find it crazy how if you it's like if you're not against Ubisoft and you're just curious about the game, apparently you're woke or you're a racist or you're just an evil person, as I've heard like some extreme cases say. So apparently I'm an evil person for just being interested in a Ubisoft game. Like I understand that Ubisoft hasn't really been doing very well lately, but heck, again, at the end of the day, I just want a good game. I just want a good game. I just want to enjoy another Assassin's Creed game. I mean, trust me, I've played plenty of them over a very long period of time, and it's been quite a bit of time since I've actually enjoyed one. Since I couldn't finish Valhalla, and I didn't even bother with Mirage because I'd seen enough just from my initial research of the game. But going back to Assassin's Creed Shadows, I'm generally curious. I want to give it a shot. But again, if it does turn out to be offensive, or if they pull some sort of thing where, oh, you're only playing as the female character for like 20% of the game and you're playing as the male character for like 80% of the game, then maybe I will complain about it. But from what I can guess, it looks like it's going to be 50-50. I look forward to really getting to know these really two pretty badass looking characters, seeing how different they are, seeing how they work together, and just seeing how they work in the story. Because at the end of the game, I'm a story-driven gamer. So heck, if you make a good story despite the settings, that's all you need to get my attention. But again, I will not be paying $130 for this game because that's just stupid, and I think most people would agree to that. But heck, that's just where I stand. And if that upsets you, that I'm willing to give this a chance, and you think I'm, being manipulated or being unknowingly programmed, well, that's unfortunately your loss. Because heck, I know who I am, and I know what I want in my entertainment, and I definitely know what I want in my type of games. And heck, just from the little bit that I've seen enough to say that, you know what? I'm going to generally give this game a chance. And if it's a great game, I'm fine with it. And if it's not, heck, I'll tear it apart and give it a new asshole. So, those are my thoughts on this entire Assassin's Creed Shadow Black controversy. I apologize if my thoughts are a little bit all over the place, but that's kind of everyone's thoughts. It's so all over the place. There's so many different points of views. There's so many different people arguing, and it's just so confusing. But heck, as long as we are arguing, then it's just giving Assassin's Creed Shadows even more attention. So, yeah. So, those are my thoughts. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this whole controversy? Share your thoughts with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.